All right, today we're jumping right into the most high stakes, maybe even the scariest part of the new EU AI Act. We're talking about the systems that are considered so risky they've been banned completely. These are the absolute red lines for artificial intelligence, and we're going to look at what happens if you dare to cross them.
So let me just ask you a question, point blank, especially if you're building or using AI right now. Is the system you're working on illegal in the European Union? I know, it's a pretty stark question to ask, but as you're about to see, this isn't some theoretical exercise. It's a very real risk you need to get your head around.
And this brings us right to the heart of it all, the EU's AI red lines. We're diving into something called Article 5 of the AI Act. This is where the regulators have drawn a massive line in the sand, defining what they call unacceptable risks. Basically, this is the nope, absolutely not list. So what exactly is Article 5? A lot of this new law is about regulation, transparency, and doing things the right way. Well, Article 5 is different. It's not a rulebook, it's a blacklist. It calls out specific AI practices that are seen as such a huge threat to our rights and our safety that they aren't just regulated, they are completely forbidden. No workarounds, no exceptions.
Okay, so a blacklist sounds pretty serious. What's actually on it? Well, the Act doesn't mess around with vague language. It gets super specific, laying out 4 major types of AI systems that are now totally off-limits in the EU. Let's break these down. First up, you have manipulative nudging that exploits people's vulnerabilities. Think of an app specifically designed to push a gambling addict to place just one more bet. Yeah, that's banned. Second, social scoring. Where an AI gives you a score based on your behavior? Banned. Third, scraping facial images from all over the internet to build a database without anyone's permission, also banned. And finally, a really big one, emotion recognition in the workplace or at school. So an AI trying to figure out if you're engaged during a work call, that's banned too.
So, what happens if a company just ignores these rules? Or maybe they just don't know about them? Well, the law makes it painfully clear. Saying I didn't know is not an excuse. And the financial consequences? Let's just say they are severe.
And when I say severe, I really mean it. Getting this wrong isn't going to get you a slap on the wrist or a friendly warning letter. Oh no. The penalty for building one of these prohibited systems is designed to be a massive deterrent.
Get ready for this. The baseline penalty is 35 million euros. Just let that sink in for a moment. For most companies, a fine that big isn't just a bad quarter. It's a potentially company-ending event. But wait, it actually gets worse. The fine is 35 million euros or 7% of your company's entire global annual revenue, and they take whichever number is bigger. So for a major tech company, that 7% could easily be billions of dollars. The message here is unmistakable. The EU is absolutely not messing around.
Now, you might hear those numbers and think, okay, that's a problem for the big guys, the tech giants. But the source material points to a really specific danger for smaller companies, something it calls the unknowing startup trap. It's all about how well-intentioned, innovative startups can accidentally wander right over that red line.
And this is where it gets really practical. The sectors that are highlighted as being most at risk are HR tech and security. And it makes sense, right? A startup in HR might build a cool tool to analyze video interviews to find the best candidate, but oops, it's using prohibited emotion recognition. Or a security startup scrapes images from public websites to train their model, and boom, they violated the biometric scraping ban. They're trying to solve a problem, but they're building an illegal product without even knowing it.
This quote from an anonymous founder just hits the nail on the head. That way of thinking, we're just a small startup, these huge rules don't apply to us. That is the trap. Because the reality is, if your AI system is available in the EU market, or even if its output is used there, these rules absolutely apply to you. Size doesn't matter.
Okay, so this is all pretty intense. The risks are massive, the rules are complex, so how can anyone possibly stay safe? Well, this is where the conversation pivots from the problem to a proposed solution. And that solution is all about automation.
The core idea here is simple. You can't just wait for your legal team to review everything at the end of the development process. By then, it's way too late. The solution is to build compliance checks directly into the software development lifecycle. You create these automated guardrails that can spot these issues long before they become multi-million euro problems.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, you can think of it as a pretty simple 3-step workflow. First, you have a system that is constantly scanning your code base and the data you're using. Second, it's smart enough to detect if a feature you're building might accidentally fall into one of those 4 banned categories. And third, this is the crucial part,
If it finds a risk, it immediately throws up a red flag, an alert, right there in the developer's pipeline. It stops a non-compliant feature dead in its tracks.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? It isn't just about understanding the problem or even a potential solution. It's really about a clear call to action for every single person working in this space.
And this is the central message, plain and simple. Stop guessing, start governing. With penalties this high and the ethical lines drawn this clearly, the old days of move fast and break things are over for AI in Europe. The call to action is a total shift in mindset. You have to stop guessing about compliance and start actively, intentionally governing your AI development process. And that leaves us with one final, really important question that you should take with you. Looking at how your own team builds and deploys AI, is your process actually ready for these red lines? It's a question every single leader in tech needs to be asking themselves right now, because frankly, the clock is ticking.